This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome to Journeys, Chronicles of Our Asian Century. And here we discuss Asia, the Philippines and China in particular, and the world. And by the time you're watching this, because this is pre-taped, and it will appear on July the 7th, Saturday evening, 8 p.m., and replayed Sunday morning and several other days during the week, next week, you will already have known what the importance of my day today, our day today, July 6, as we are taping this, what the significance of this day is. And itong araw na to, Hulyo 6, magiging napakahalaga sa buhay ninyo, buhay natin lahat, buhay ng Asia, buhay ng buong mundo sa darating na mga buwan at mga taon. Hindi natin alam kung ito ay maalala natin bilang isang malaking trahedyang araw, a very tragic day, it is July 6, or it is something that will just pass as mankind solves its problems. Because the last time something like this happened before 1941, before 1939, there was also a trade war that led to the Second World War. Now, on this day, July 6, which is 12 hours later in the United States, the first tariffs, yung unang mga taripa ni Donald Trump, ni President Trump, ay magsisimulang ipataw sa mga produkto galing sa China, papasok ng Estados Unidos. 25%, 30%, napakalaking mga taripa po. At ito ay sasagutin in a few hours after, the China will answer these new tariffs in Trump's trade war in the few hours that follows, the United States imposing these tariffs. Now, let me read from Bloomberg. Trade war threat gets real as Trump confirms China tariff. As of 12:01 a.m. Friday, U.S. Customs officials are set to begin. Hindi pa nagsisimula yung Friday. This is advance news, no? Of course, they prepare the news in advance. U.S. Customs officials are set to begin collecting 25% tariffs on Chinese imports of goods ranging from farming, plows, yung mga pang-araro, to semiconductors and airplane parts. It's the first time the U.S. has imposed tariffs directly aimed at Chinese goods, following months in which Trump accused Beijing of stealing American intellectual property and unfairly swelling America's trade deficit. So, simula na po itong trade war. Parang wala pa pong kahulugan sa atin, Nakikinig ang ating TV crew, relax lang. Pero baka ito ay umabot sa ang ating langis, umabot ng 80 pesos isang litro. But we will explain this. I was just telling our Philippine audience that this sounds like something that is still an unknown term today. But this trade war could lead to, let's say, an 80 peso per liter gasoline price, which today is around 40 pesos, 41, 42, I think, in the Philippines. And What are the thoughts of Americans about this? The next item is from the Washington Post. No, I tried to get a sensing. Tinignan ko kung anong pakaramdam ng mga Amerikano tungkol dito. Sabi dito sa report ng Washington Post, trade war set to escalate as the U.S. Fed warns of economic hit. The U.S. Fed itself is warning that this will also hit the Americans. The net impact of the trade war on the U.S. economy is going to be negative. Thorsten Slock, chief international economist for Deutsche Bank Securities, said via email, quote, most importantly, the risks are rising that the negative effects on the economy of the administration's trade war will be bigger than the positive effects of the corporate tax cut, unquote. So that is Trump's plan. They give the corporations a tax cut, lower taxes from 32, I think, down to 25 or 20. But what this analyst is saying, and carried by the Washington Post, is that's not going to be enough. The American corporations are going to take a bad hit. What is another view from the Americans, from the same report? American consumers are one step closer to feeling the full effects of a trade war. Yeah, that's the one. Said Matthew Shea, president of the National Retail Federation. Quote, these tariffs will do nothing to protect U.S. jobs, but they will undermine the benefits of tax reform and drive up prices for a wide range of products as diverse as tool sets, yung snap-on tools, remember, batteries, remote controls, flash drives, and thermostats, and many other things. And of course, the feeds for the American farms coming from soybeans, and so on. And what is China's response? From the Independent, China fully prepared for trade war with U.S. as tariffs deadline looms. I could have quoted from the Chinese papers, but I wanted to show what the assessment of Western media is. It says here, sabi dito, companies ranging from car manufacturers to soybean farms and whiskey distillers will be hit with China's tariffs designed to inflict pain on U.S. farmers and other groups important to the president. These are the sectors that voted for the American president, for President Trump. It comes amid reports that China is pushing the European Union to issue a strong joint statement against Mr. Trump's trade policies at a summit later this month. So China is lobbying with the European Union, which has been turned off by many of the acerbic, many of the virulent attacks of Trump against some EU leaders, particularly Merkel of Germany and Macron of France. Ininis at inaway ni Trump ang European Union sa ilang mga meetings ng G7. At ito naman ay pagkakataon ng China na akitin ng European Union na makiisa sa China na tumutol at lumaban doon sa trade war ni Trump. But expect also that there will be twists and turns. Blood may be thicker than water since Trump and the European Union are Caucasians and come from the Western civilization. We don't know what the future has in store for us, but in terms of objective facts and objective motivations, there is reason for the European Union to be very dissatisfied and to be very antagonistic to the United States. So we will watch if this budding relationship with China, between the European Union and China, will continue to blossom and resist and rise up or become a resistance to President Trump's trade war policies. What about ASEAN and Asians? Since we always talk about our concerns here in Asia, what is our response? Well, this is from the South China Morning Post. Asian nations form united front as Donald Trump goes it alone on trade. In the recent meeting of the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, led by China and also by Japan, but which also includes Australia and particularly, of course, India and South Korea. New Zealand is a small player. But these Western groups, they assume more prominence than they deserve. But anyway, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership is working together for a free trade among the Asian nations, Asia-Pacific nations, in fact. And so these negotiations are going on, and hopefully what is worked out in this Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the RCEP for short, will negate the effects of Trump's trade war policies. How about ASEAN? How should we react? Well, the United States is no longer the top trading partner of ASEAN, nor of the Philippines. So let's do a comparison between the US and China in relation to ASEAN. This is from a report of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, which says, I was trying to look for 2017 figures of US trade and Philippine and ASEAN trade, but this was the best I could find. In 2016, the two-way goods trade was $234 billion. $234 billion. And our next image is the China-ASEAN trade volume. This is from XinhuaNet. Trade volume between China and ASEAN countries hit a record high in 2017, according to the Ministry of Commerce. Bilateral trade totaled $514.8 billion in 2017, up 13.8% year-on-year, the fastest growth pace between China and any of its major trading partners. So even if we lack 1 year in the US-ASEAN trade, you can see that the US is just half of the China-ASEAN trade. And so it is more important for ASEAN to work closely with China during this period of challenges that has been initiated by President Trump of the United States of America. Now, for many people in the audience and others, this may still not be something tangible, but as you will see as we go on, these will really affect our lives unless our government, President Duterte and his economic team, financial team, are fast and nimble on their feet to respond to these and to prepare the right direction and strategies. Kailangan na mahalaga po na si Presidente Duterte at ang kanyang economic managers, financial managers, mabilis po sa kilos dito sa mga nangyayari at tumugon sa mga hamon. But in the midst of this, China has been very encouraging. For example, China unveils opportunities for the Philippines as key trade partner. China has doubled, will probably double by this year. Will reach the targets for tourism and for fruit purchases. For investments, it is now 3 times higher than the years of the previous administration in the Philippines, $1 billion in a year. I'll probably look into that in the second segment of our discussions. With 1.42 billion people as of 2018 and being the world's second biggest economy, second largest importer and consumer globally, China offers so much trade opportunities for the Philippines, its key trade partner. And as relations between the Philippines and China have improved under President Duterte, China is now much more willing to buy from the Philippines. And we reported recently, banana imports of China now from the Philippines constitute 65% of their imports of bananas because they have left the Taiwan suppliers and shifted to the Philippines. Tourist arrivals are on the way to reaching 1.5 million tourists from 1 million, almost 1 million, less 40,000 or 60,000 in 2017. But at the same time, there are other things that are even more ominous. U.S. is pressing its allies to end the Iran oil imports by November deadline, by November, to stop all their purchases of Iran oil in relation, of course, to U.S. strategic plans in that region, which, again, the European Union is resisting and opposing. Russia is opposing. China is opposing. And since the U.S. has threatened with this ban on Iran oil, and a total embargo of it, including its allies demanding that U.S. allies stop buying from Iran, Iran believes and feels this as an existential threat. Such kind of embargoes is a declaration of war. Itong panawagan ng Estados Unidos sa lahat ng mga allies niya sa buong mundo na wag na bumili ng langis mula sa Iran, ay isang deklarasyon ng giyera sa Iran. At ang sagot po ng Iran, Iran threatens to block the Strait of Hormuz in response to U.S. attempts to stop its oil exports. Magtatagumpay ba si Trump? Matutuloy ba itong pagharang ng Strait of Hormuz? Giyera na po yan. Lubugan na ng mga barko ng US at Iranian, missiles will be flying, oil may reach 80 pesos per gasoline per liter because the oil world market per barrel would shoot up. Thank God again, there are countries that are not allowing this to happen. China rejects US call to end Iran oil exports. And so China will continue to buy oil from Iran, whatever the United States says. And likewise, there are reports that India is also ready to continue its purchases of oil. Of course, Russia will continue, and so on. And let's see if the European Union will heed the American call. But the U.S. is not backing down. U.S. stands ready to keep Gulf open as Tehran warns of consequences if Iran's oil exports are hampered. On the impact on the Philippines, well, we have discussed this in our previous episodes, but we hope we are able to cope with it. There is a very big challenge, of course. The biggest, the country that will be most heavily affected by a trade war between the U.S. and China is the Philippines. As it says here, about 16.9% of the Philippines' shipment abroad are part of China's value chain goods that serve as inputs to China's exports, according to the RHB Bank, Berhad. That compares with 11.4% for Malaysia and just 2.2% for Vietnam. Ito po yung chart ng mga electronics. Yun yung exports po natin. Philippines, compared to doon sa kaliwa, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam ang pinakamaliit. Tayo ang pinakamalaking exports ng electronic components. And China ang nagsusupply po ng maraming electronic finished products to the US. And that's why China buys from the Philippines. But there are other things China will be buying from us. So our good relations with China is very important. So I believe, of course, the Philippines will survive this, will be the least affected if we are on the right track with our foreign policy and with our economic and financial mobility during these times of crisis. Okay, next we will discuss how much more reliable President Duterte feels that China is as a partner.